I don't have a whole lot of time to organize this. There are some things I don't know, and there's a lot to cover in a small amount of time. A lot of it I don't understand. I've written a prepared statement, and I'm going to try to get through it before I have to go back for more questioning. So, here it goes. My name is Elizabeth. I was adopted in 1993 by a wealthy man, and my father has been very good and kind to me my whole life. I'm originally from Texas, but I've lived around the country the past few years. My father is a pharmaceutical rep. His parents owned a company before they passed away. My father was supposed to inherit it, but it went to his brother. I lived my whole life ignorant of this fact. I graduated this year with a degree in childhood development and healthcare studies. At some point last year, my father came home from work looking relatively pale. He said his brother was coming to stay with us for a while. You know his brother is Nicholas Channing. I was surprised to hear about this. My father seemed very nervous. The entire time he was here, he made sure that I was taking my anxiety medication every single day while my uncle was in the premises. I didn't get much interaction with him, and I wasn't allowed to go into the guest house once he moved in. One day last year, I realized that I'd left something of mine in the guest house, a CD or a picture album or something. I can't really remember what it was that caused me to go out there. The door was locked, but I went through an open window that was at the ground level. When I went into the house, that was when I saw them. Rows of bunk beds with little girls strapped down into them. I staggered back in total shock. The girls couldn't have been older than 3 or 4. In a panic, I ran from the guest house and returned to my house in total shock. I tried to tell my dad about it, but for some reason the words weren't able to leave my mouth. I started having bad dreams about telling my father and even the authorities about what I'd seen. The dreams always started out the same, but the outcomes would differ. None of them ended well, but they were always so complex. At the end of one of them, I saw myself ask my father to go with him on his next business trip. I woke up the next morning, completely sure that this was the best option. While my father and I were away on these trips, I began to look into what my uncle was doing. I couldn't find anything. I got a single picture of his face on my phone and ran it on an image search. I was positive that it wouldn't turn up anything. And at that point, my father was in Florida overseeing the development of my uncle's software program. That's when I met Annette. Annette is a gifted programmer who got in a lot of legal trouble for hacking at a young age. Her mother died and left her unable to continue her education. My uncle found her and offered to further her education if she started helping him complete an alpha build of what he was calling a security program. When I met Annie, it was a relief in a lot of ways. She was suspicious that she wasn't building a security program, or rather a skeleton key capable of exploiting faults in any secure servers or firewalls. She and I shared our concerns, and Annie used her talents to search the image I had taken of my uncle. We came across Madison Atkins' videos, particularly the one that had been taken from the security camera. Based on what we were able to find there, and what we were able to search with the information, we realized my uncle's goals. Zip Enterprises was developing a drug from atypical spinal fluid. This type of genetic makeup affects part of the brain. I don't know anything about this science stuff, but the receptor in the brain is called the sigma receptor and is linked to DMT and shared hallucinations. My uncle has exploited that and developed a serum that allows one to share their thoughts with another person to such a degree that it can lead to mind control. This atypical gene is found in the X chromosome, and so my uncle's been kidnapping unwanted or unloved young girls with this gene for several years. He called this operation the Orphan Reception Initiative. My uncle was gathering a following of some of the smartest minds in the world, mostly professors from major universities. My father has been burning these bridges and preparing for my uncle's escape by breaking the relationships between these people and my uncle. I don't know why he's doing it, but it's my belief that uncle is forcing him to do this against his will. Because of his ability to plant thoughts, my uncle's been able to evade capture, but with the rise of sigma receptor antagonists like Zoloft and technology developing in a way that facial recognition is the new norm, my uncle knew that he had to find a way to evade technology too. The Skeleton Key program is capable of hacking into virtually anything and compiling a perfect dossier of someone based on private and public information on the internet. My uncle's aim was to remove himself from the world and gain a new identity. In theory, he could have also used the key to track his enemies and find new girls easier. The earliest versions of the program weren't tested on the internet properly, but rather databases that had been stolen from the universities. The biggest one of these was something called the Internet 2, which had both university records and legal ones on it. PJ and Aurora's schools were both contributors to the internet too. These were, however, flaws within the program. The early versions that Annie was working with had a bug that confused closed adoptions with childhood mortalities and compromised the information that would gather on these individuals. We began testing out the names of the community members who helped nearly stop my uncle the first time. PJ was the perfect storm, for a multitude of reasons. Even though we could not track him on the Skeleton Key program, we were still able to gather certain things from his videos and other public online information that led us to past interactions with others. PJ was heavily invested in the safety of Madison for fear that she was being targeted to help save these children. PJ seemed to be dependable. His mother was a private investigator. His best friend had just moved back from Florida, where Annie was, and his ex had been living in Florida. I was convinced, but Annie was skeptical. We tried reaching out to other community members, but time was running out. We kept a heavy eye on all of PJ's contacts, waiting to see which was the most appropriate to contact, and set up alternate routes in case he or Aurora were overwhelmed. We did everything we could to get attention without drawing it to ourselves and compromising our secrecy. I knew that once this was all said and done, my uncle would force me to be a caretaker for the girls. In total, there were 8, with a 9th that my uncle kept with them at all times. These girls have the ability, and even when they're sedated, it's my belief that they're capable of telling me things. I'm sorry I altered the puzzles and led you to Annette. I knew that if I didn't do that things would have gone wrong. PJ, Aurora, Madison, everyone. I knew you would save us. These girls, they know things they shouldn't, and I guess I do too. They told me things. There are many roads we could have gone down, even in the past. These girls have taught me that life has opportunities and choices. This could have gone so differently. In my dreams, I see all the things that could have happened. All the roads we didn't go down, some better, some far worse, some too tragic to speak of. Regardless of the choices we made or could have made, in the realms of possibility that some things were always the same, the girls always showed me pigeons. In Madison, there's always a trailer, always a zip, but all the same things that remain the same. The one that stands out, and the one light that's always shining in the dark, is all of you. I see you, always there, always ready to fight. You always saved us. I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's all I can say. You were always going to be there. Thank you for giving me that faith. I don't know what's going to happen to these girls now, but whatever their future holds, I know it's going to be for the best. Annie and I will be fine. I'll make sure of it. Thank you. Thank you for helping us.